Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the SuperNova Astrology Update for May 27th through June 3rd, 2024. Well, how are you doing? We had a very powerful Sagittarius full moon this week, and the energies have been continuing to expand and amplify in this 2024 astrology. So let's talk it through. We know that our personal planets have been transiting over Uranus and then Jupiter, linking together the energies of these planets, informing us and letting us know what this conjunction has been about for us personally. And there's messages of being open to downloads, realizations, next steps, clarity perhaps coming. It's this, like we said, the silver bells ringing and this activation of these planets kind of cascading into our everyday life. Now we've had a shift of energy though this week with we had the last silver bell that we heard was Venus and Jupiter coming together. They came together at on the 23rd and 24th. And so that conjunction just is coming off today. And they came together at 29 degrees Taurus. Very powerful. Venus in her home sign, a bloom of the Taurus energy of the garden, of the possibilities of the new world. In sextile to Neptune, Neptune at very last degree of Pisces. It's like, really? Is it possible? I mean, Neptune won't fully move into Aries until 2026, but we have the end degree. And we know the end degrees, the beginning degrees of a sign has a bloom and the end, like a culmination energy. So Neptune in Pisces has been talking to us about reclaiming, well, on the one hand, healing the trauma programming and the wounds, the delusions of the Piscean age, where we've been allowed our light, or what happened, the path played out, was demonized. And now we must reclaim. We hid our light, we separated from our light, our talents, our gifts, our skills, all of it, your treasure chest. Uh, in order to survive, we had to separate ourselves. And now to get back to who we really are, we've got to unlock these treasures. And that's what these transits are all about. Now, Venus, Jupiter is like the divine feminine, the garden, the potential, the juiciness, the creation energy, it just speaks to this new world that we're here to build and co-create and recreate together because we have the vision of this within us. And that's the power of the sextile to Neptune, because Neptune is vision, it's dreams, it's pictures. This Pisces is the very last sign of the zodiac, and it has an energy of going back to the primordial soup of all creation. And in that place, it's hard to tell what's real, right? So that's where the delusions, we've been controlled through these delusions, and yet we can totally use that energy to dream a completely new dream. And the completely new dream is this garden, is this place where the divine feminine magic within each of us, our intuitive nature, our healing, has been demonized, called wrong and bad, been, kind of like what happened was our beautiful gifts of healing got all tied in with the trauma programming of the Piscean age. And so we've associated, or we've been programmed to associate our healing power. The more powerful it is, the more direct, the more demonized. And so we've got to then clear up all those stories, but then reclaim, right? So the Neptune in Pisces is, yes, we got to heal this trauma programming where we were allowed ourselves to be programmed and controlled, and heal and clear that. But we cannot get out of the Piscean age until we reclaim the miracles and the magic. And so that's what this is about. It was like that. It's cool because we talked about these six silver bells of our personal planets going over Uranus and Jupiter, and that Venus kind of right in the middle there. this Venus Jupiter sextile Neptune, like, ta-da, here it is. Here's the energy you've always wanted. You've been searching for and trying to create in your relationships, in your more, building money and your resources and your life. And what you really want, what we all really want, is just this love. And in that love is this healing power. There's no greater power than a mother's love. And so, but the power, it's like, I can see this weird pattern where we were persecuted and targeted for our healing energy and just who we are in our light. We didn't do anything, just existing, right? But then some of us incarnated again, came right back to earth and was like, with more healing power. Now more demonized, more traumatized. And we're just undoing this whole story. That's what this astrology is about, because we what's happening right now is that we're feeling Mars approach Chiron. So Mars just went over this last week, the eclipse. First of all, Mars went over the North Node. And that was so crucial because Mercury spent so much time with the North Node in that retrograde and that eclipse season, linking all these energies together. So Mars over the North Node in Aries, it's Mars' home sign. And he's our warrior. Action, let's go. Let's do this, the motor. And so over the North Node, it's confirming a new way forward, the only way forward. But we got to go. We got to move. It's kind of saying the only way forward is to finally move, but we still don't know really who we are or where we're going. And we have a rapid, very fast time of healing and discovery. And so this is kind of what these silver balls are saying. Like, what is this activation in your personal life? What does it mean for you? What treasures, your personal individual treasures, are being uncovered that you grew in response to the need for healing, and then were increasingly persecuted and targeted because of these gifts. And so you separated yourself from them. This very tricky situation where we're being told that what you really want to work with, what you really came here, your passion, your dharma, your true path, what you really want to express, the gifts you want to work with are often the most hidden. That's why the more we come into ourselves, the more we're kind of lost around where we're going and what we're doing. And the mother says, it's okay. I got the plan. I got the plan, remember? It's laid out on the DNA, the road, the golden road, the highway, because that's how it feels. We're taking it to the next level and nothing can stop it. And we cannot cower, we cannot turn it down, we cannot adjust, accommodate, compensate to those around us. It's like, ooh, the train's coming. And that was the message we got about that Jupiter, Venus, and sextile Neptune, like the heavens coming down to meet us. We can talk to these beings we've been trying to communicate with for so long. We've been blocked. And now we can have that direct conversation. And so very powerful, because it's highlighting that Jupiter sextile Neptune. It just came off of its exact sextile of Jupiter and Neptune, but we'll feel that through the first week of June. It's a very important energy of these sextiles, are like that jimmying the lock, creative solutions to move through sticky situations. And so Jupiter's saying, expanding the dream of the garden and the dream of the feminine, and this wonderful, beautiful life force energy that's available to us in that vibration. And Neptune's saying, sextile to Neptune's like, ooh, all right, can we do it this way now? Can we? Because the dream and the vision of what we know first is the energy, first was the word, right? And then it's created in manifest form. So now it's like we're working with this release of these trauma drama stories and beginning to entertain and live in this dream. And it's like we got to grab a hold of it, because everything wants to distract us from it, and make little problems big problems. And part of what's going on is that we're moving into a very intense phase of what feels like it's focused on emotional release. We've been talking about how suppressed we are as a culture. And supernova souls, if you're going to get killed for who you are, you're going to suppress, you know? And then those patterns are like to keep you in your pen over lifetimes, right? And so we've got a lot. Now, the other thing is that a lot of us have gone through very difficult things over these lifetimes, but these last few years, as we're rehashing the Piscean age. And we have been just had to, like, in this thing of, survival mode in a way, like that. Just got to get through, right? Just got to get through. I can do it. I can do it. I can be strong. I can do it. And what's coming up is that these personal planets that just had their turn going over Uranus and Jupiter, now moving into Gemini. And the Gemini, what's going to happen in Gemini is that they're going to come into square with Saturn in Pisces. Now, Gemini and Pisces are mutable signs. And so mutable signs are like about adjusting, changing, and it's speaking to everything like we are in a massive rapid adjustment. And the adjustment is to who we really are. That's been hidden to us, from us. It's our treasure chest, though. We got that message. Nobody else can use it. So we best get down to business. And that's part of the Saturn energy too. Saturn is like, come on, work, make it happen, like create the structures. And that's a beautiful energy. But Saturn's in Pisces, and Pisces doesn't have any form. Pisces is the formless, like that, raw materials. So this is where we've gotten the message that Saturn was kind of taking over the energy of the forces of control of the lower matrix and using physical form. Saturn represents structures in physical form, using those structures to control humanity, in the lower matrix. And now we know Saturn's getting an overhaul in Pisces, and we're each changing our relationship to Saturn. And so normally Saturn transits would, especially square, because Saturn is our Dharma path. In our birth chart, you could see it like this: our Dharma path, like our true path, our true way we want to do what we're here to do in this lifetime. Also, the obstacles to that path. And that's been the most highlighted in the astrology under the bloom of the control forces. Now we're having to forge a different relationship with Saturn, and where we've gotten this message like, oh yeah, this physical world, the matrix was designed to it was designed entirely and completely to work against you and your evolution, to come, like, keep you from coming into who you are. And so as we change this overhaul of Saturn, then the message is that it goes from everything working against you to now the forces, the mother. The mother is like taking back Saturn and saying, oh, I'm the physical. I'm the physical manifestation. And now we're more in a higher dimension plasma reality. We don't need to do this trauma, drama, breaking, lower control matrix, because it's all held into place by catastrophe programming. And in the mother's world, in higher dimensional frequencies, as we move back into her garden, there you can't cause harm so easily. It can't break. It's plasma. It moves and shifts. So can we embrace this shift, this new relationship to Saturn, to feeling supported? Now, you get a one little glimpse: true support, all the things we haven't had, love and care, understanding, being received. You get a little glimpse of that, and it can bring up so much emotions and trauma and, like, just deep repressed feelings around where it hasn't worked out for you for so long, and it's been so hard and so alone. So we have to understand that these Saturn transits coming up, these Saturn squares, are about rearranging our relationship to Saturn. And what that really means with Saturn in Pisces is feeling the feels, like the grief that we've all suppressed to just get through for lifetimes. And then it's like this thing of, like, we've been working really hard, opening our heart, coming back to mother, but it's like really deeply receiving, fully feeling in a palpable way her love, holding you and carrying you. You can rest and release in all these places where we've been holding on for dear life. And in order to do that, we have to feel what we haven't felt, because you're just going through life, getting through, and then a glimpse of where it could be better. is starting to shift. Like maybe there's an open door to this level of support that you didn't even know was possible. And it's like, oh, whoa, honey, you have been alone for so long. We got to go be the mother for ourselves. You know, that's the last bit of like really letting the mother into our heart, is allowing that part of ourselves to nurture our inner child, or these places within ourselves, these deep fractured pieces of ourselves, putting ourselves back together with her love, and letting ourselves go ahead and feel and express and release the grief of the past. You know, because if we're holding it in our field, because we've had to just to get through, but then we can't come back to the mother. We can't feel her. We can't feel her love because we're disconnected from our body because we're in emotional repression, you know, and this is where we're at. So this is interesting because we've had this beautiful, blissful, super activating, like higher vibrational frequency, but not a lot of tension transits. And it's kind of weird because we've had so much squares over this last year. But so now that we're moving into this, the other tension transit we're feeling is opposition, a little bit different energy than the squares. The squares are like, can't go this way, you're blocked, right? Opposition is like, oh, tension, tension, but wait, there's this mutual reciprocity. I can learn and grow and expand and have the power of the opposites. So, what we're starting to feel is very interesting because we're talking about putting our pieces back together, you know, picking ourselves up, healing the wounds. Like we've patched the wounds, right? We've identified the wounds. We've found the wounds. We've worked with the wounds. But, you know, is it a surface healing? Have we gone to the depths? Have we really gotten out the deep infection so we make sure that that energy doesn't ever grow in our life again? Because these wounds actually have zero to do with who you are as your star self, you know, except to validate how powerful you are. So is that it? Is that where we reclaim the treasures of the Piscean age and stand strong and true in our wealth and our worth as good people? Those that kept our heart open through all of it, still beaten down, standing up, ready to heal the world. Oh, you're rock stars. And so we've got to, so maybe reclaiming the treasure, finding our treasure is kind of saying, whoa, so much has worked against me, but only because I am intrinsically your inheritance, this life force. You have this ability to use this life force energy to heal. We've done it in so many beautiful different ways through color and vibration and stones and crystals and geometry and water and um, you know, so it's like this is part of the new renaissance that we're moving into with these planets moving into Gemini, signifying a new chapter. Like we just had all that Aries explosion, and Aries is the first sign of the zodiac and North Node. So it's like, yeah, the only way forward is a whole new way forward. And what's that mean? Now in Gemini, it's like it's about taking the treasures that we've found and actually expressing them. Because it wasn't having the treasures so much in the past that got us into such trouble. It was expressing these treasures, right? And you bring it up and you're like, oh, I want to share it with the world, this revelation. And they're like, go get her, you know? So we are, it's a lot, right? So when we're talking about healing suppressed emotions, we're talking about the throat chakra, but we're going into the depths of these dark places so that we can bring the song forward again, right? And we might have to do a little bit of wailing and grieving, you know, be the wailing woman for yourself for all the times that you didn't get to stop and grieve. And in order to sing the song again, see? So, what we're feeling right now is Mars coming into Chiron, and it's so powerful because going back to where I was, Mars went over the North Node, saying only way forward, completely new way forward, and let's go, you know. And then the eclipse point, you know, so the eclipse happened at 19 degrees Aries, right there with Chiron, and so Mars going over this eclipse point is like, get your motor running, like revving the engine. And then coming right into this conjunction. So he's like, you know, the bull waiting to be released out to the ring, and, pawing at the ground, and this feeling of anticipation of getting on with it finally. If the news landing, let's get on with it now. There's incredible impatience in Aries. But Mars comes right into this now, then meets up with Chiron. So Chiron's made it 3 degrees to 22. 22 is a very powerful number. It's a master builder number. And it's like, it's 2 11s. And 11 is like a portal to the new, but also facing off with the opposition that's keeping you from that. 22 is like, yeah, well, now we've got 2 portals. This is the power of the time. Everything we're going through right now is preparation to come together in our co-creation, in our collaborative power. Very few, if any, tiny, tiny percentage of supernova souls have a true working soulmate. Your core soul group, the people, the souls you've been with from the beginning. We haven't even begun to find each other. Like, the trump card has not been played, because this powerful force of the universe, we're talking about the mother's love, that's also sexual creation energy expressed in true soulmate love. And we haven't even begun to come together. And this is like the rocket that's going to shoot us off into this new realm. Now, everything's speaking to this because we've got that Black Moon Lilith opposition with Neptune. Black Moon Lilith at Virgo is at 26 degrees, coming to 27 degrees this week. And so it's coming right into the opposition with Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces. Now, Black Moon Lilith is these deep, dark secrets and of the feminine. Now, when we're talking about the Black Moon Lilith energy, and the Black Moon Lilith is not an object, okay? It's a place out in space, and that's why it's got this like vortex, weird black hole energy. But it's also got the power of creation ready to be unleashed. So Black Moon Lilith represents a lot of times our fear of our own power, fear of our sexual energy, fear of the kundalini in our body, fear of that potency. Because like we said, I'm seeing this pattern where supernova souls like, well, I better go back to earth with more power, and it's like, oh, yeah. And so when healing energy, the power of this life force energy could come through in different ways, right? It can come through as love. It can come through as wealth. It can come through as healing power. It could come through true support. Any way it comes through with like a fire hose, it could be traumatic, even though it's good. There's no bad to it. There's no negative to it. But it doesn't mean that a huge dose of healing power into your life, like we talked about, like saying homeopathy, it can give a remedy if it has a very powerful effect. It's resonant, and you got the right potency, and it's like a mirror to the body. There's going to be a very powerful healing response in the body. And so it can cause healing crisis, but that's the whole deal with homeopathy. You're trying to minimize and harmonize that process, taking the most direct and harmonious way back to cure. But it's not always like that in the world. Sometimes healing power, love power, clarity power, light, intuitive light can be seen as traumatic because it's like too much too fast. And it's like that wounded animal. If you're going to go and try to just shower love, the mother's love, like that kind of nurturing love, so special, so everything. Like I said, it's like the wealth we all want, right? But if you're going to take a wounded animal that's been abused and shower love on them, they're going to cower. They're going to run from you. And so we're in this delicate place. And the big part for us right now is uncovering, unwinding, clearing, healing all these stories about the shame and blame for being in the healing power. And I can see that in my life where I'm like, well, I'll just do more. It's like, well, now there's a bigger reaction. And it's so isolating. And that's the energy of Aries too. The more powerful you are, the more difficult it is to find true support, because who can stand next to that, you know? Especially when we have these people that have just been in our life, the karmic group that we've often worked with for lifetimes, that has been kind of like handlers, keeping us from our dreams and visions, distracting us, invalidating us, belittling us, you know, making us feel like absolutely nothing, you know. And then we're here trying to find something within us to bring to the table, like real, that the world can receive. That's why we're so confused about what we're doing here, you know, because we got to completely go back to square one and rework our values and our value. And that's where supernova souls are being like, whoa, I'm putting my pieces back together. I'm standing up. And I'm going to go ahead and, like in the healing process, realize that as I put my pieces back together, all this happened to me only for one reason, because I am that powerful. And the power comes from love and healing, and it's good, and it's right, and it's true, and you are aligned, and you are a good person, aligned with the mother. It's gold, pure, pure gold. And yet still it's poison to them. But that's not our problem. And so we're having to reclaim ourselves, our dignity, our sense of self, who we really are, our treasures, and at the same time heal and release these deep traumas. But underneath, it's kind of like that whole thing. The only reason it happened to you is because you are that powerful, and because you did stay true, and you didn't give up your soul and your heart. And now you stand proud and strong in that love. You know, this is a really big part of the message coming through for supernova souls. We must stand, honor, and have reverence for who we are. Nobody in the world can honor and respect us until we do that for ourselves. You've been beaten to the curve, you know, and called the evil, wrong, bad one, but you were the good one. You always have been in alignment. Now we stand in this, you know, because the evil is being exposed, and it's a little bit scary out there. And we stand in this light, we stand in this truth, we stand in the heart. And that is more powerful than anything. Heart, the human consciousness connected to the heart consciousness, which is cosmic consciousness. And this is the focus of the next course coming up on June 8th. Owning your energetic field, journey into the heart. So many mysteries and miracles and downloads are coming. How powerful it is when we stand up in our wealth and we hold ourselves in our wealth. That's the heart. That's the power of the heart. And so look out for that course. So let's go back to this whole deal that Mars is coming up to Chiron, and this is on the 30th, and we'll feel it through the 3rd. And so that leads right into the next phase, which is Sun, Venus. Sun and Venus are catching up to each other, getting close. We're just started to feel that for the last couple of days. It's so intense because we just had activation after activation after activation. And that whole Uranus, Jupiter, and Taurus, just like in the silver bells, and now Venus and the Sun, and Mercury will be joining them as well. And then all taking turns squaring Saturn, you know, and this is like, all right, you know, because we've gotten this message that we're figuring out who we are in our power. Oh, okay, this is all because we've got something. And then we're like, that means you don't have power over us. We can see these forces not actually more powerful than where we came from, the dimension we came from, how we've worked with energy before. But we haven't yet retrieved and taken back our power, because that's the most important or tricky place too, because it's like, but I'm scared of it. It's too much for me. I don't think I can handle it. I'll be all alone in that power. And so we're at this very strange place where we know it's ours, but we haven't fully retrieved it. And what does that mean for us personally? And so this is the whole dance that we're in here this week, because just the next couple of days, we're already feeling Mars and Chiron. We're already feeling Sun, Venus. And isn't it intense that they're coming together at the same time? Mars, Chiron starts it out 22 degrees Aries, master builder. We got the message. The only way is a whole new way. And here is the master builder number coming forward in Aries with Chiron and Mars. Our motor on the boat, and it says we cannot let these wounds keep us down anymore. And the power of Mars going over the North Node and the eclipse point, like he stepped through the portal in his home sign, and he's like, it's funny because it's like his energy, but he's last to get there, you know? Typical, right? We have all this beautiful healing power. We're ready to give it out to the world, but we're the last to receive it. So here's Mars. He's late to the party, but he's like, come on, let's do this, you know? And so this coming up at 22 degrees, Mars Chiron is like an annihilation of the wounded stories. Like our identity as wounded, as trauma, as persecuted, all this shit we've lived through, and like we took it on as an identity, right? And this has been the message. Yeah, so you went through all that. It doesn't define you. It's not, I mean, it's actually about, because you were all that before you went through it. So it's just showing you that you're all that. It's not who you are. We've gotten caught up in these stories, these traumas, and allowed them to become a part of our identity. And so this Mars Chiron is like, annihilate, done, drop it, no more. So if you're going to have that kind of quintessential immediate healing that brings forward of dropping the old stories, like, you know, ill-fitting clothing, there could be a bloom of those stories, right? So you know exactly what it is you're dropping. And that's what these next couple of days are about. But wow, because with the Sun Venus coming together, we know the wounded stories are about the feminine. You know, not just how much she's been persecuted and stolen from and manipulated, but the power of the feminine, right? Same thing. Why? Why was the feminine so targeted? Oh, because we're talking about direct connection to source and the connection to the mother and that mutual reciprocity of living on the earth as this living, breathing goddess. And when you're in that place of communion and union with her, feeling held and loved by this world, supported in this new incarnation of Saturn, then it's hard to control you through fear, see? So those cultures that had the most connection had to be the most targeted with this garbage, taking the shamanic leaders and burning them at the stake as an example, demonizing the mother's love. It's all been about that. That attack on Hawaii, direct attack on the mother. That's ancient Lemuria, the gateway, the cradle, the fertile, or the ring of fire, you know, the beginning of creation. And we must capture our queen. And this is what everything is saying. So the sun, so Mars, Chiron, explosive, powerful, and yet a absolute complete release potential if we can be present with it, you know. Know that your emotions could be running high. You could be reactive. Hold back a little bit, you know, hold your cards. Same message coming through. Um, but that goes through the 3rd of June, and that's just as so it leads us into the Sun Venus exact conjunction. And Sun and Venus are together from the 2nd of June to the 5th of June at 11 degrees to 14 degrees Gemini. And so, but the energy, they stay so close, they're moving at a very similar rate. And so it's full month of Sun Venus. So, wait, we're dropping the old wounds. We have moved forward in a whole new way. And then this says, what's the way? Oh, her way is the highway. The divine feminine bliss, everything that they didn't want us to feel. You know, our lower chakras chained to the material world, to the physical, keeping us from being able to use this beautiful creation energy to create, to imagine, to vision, to connect, to build and grow this energy, this world, this new earth. And so it's saying that we're dropping the old identity of woundedness, and the sun represents our identity, right? And the sun in Venus is saying, or drop in the wounds, coming into our goddess self, male or female body, right? Like we're finding that we, in this Essene culture, in the group, our soul group throughout this evolution has been devoted to the feminine, to the goddess as a palpable, living, breathing entity, you know? And so it's like, if we're going to open our treasures and find out who we really are, what's been suppressed and hidden, well, it says that it's the mother's love within us, and it's the mother's love that takes us back there. So a beautiful, beautiful picture. Now in Gemini, we're talking about expression. You know, the song of the mother, the divine feminine that hasn't been heard. And this is from the basic healing, simple healing practices, folk medicines, the mother's love, the very simple tenets of that nurturing place of the divine feminine. But it's also deep esoteric secrets, the divine feminine, the ancient mysteries of Isis that we're uncovering and inviting and learning and feeling safe, not traumatized. They taught us it was trauma. They taught us this healing force, this life force, this Kundalini energy, this activation into our light body was trauma. That was the programming from Atlantean time. Isn't it powerful that we've got Mars Chiron at 22 degrees? Only way forward, a brand new way. And it's about dropping those old stories and building something new. And what are we building? The garden. By singing the song, expressing the love, the nurturing, the care, the creativity. So important. This Gemini, Jupiter moving into Gemini, is definitely speaking to the official start of our new Renaissance. And this 200-year cycle where the planets Saturn and Jupiter will be coming together for their conjunctions in air signs. And so it's saying we got to get back to the love and the truth and the beauty and the integration, where everything we build and grow is in alignment and beautiful, and taking into account the forms of nature and the geometry and the colors and the magic and the so that we don't, just like, it's just a bringing back. This new Renaissance, is this period of time, is about reintegrating science and spirit and nature and form and energy and the masculine and the feminine, right? Because that's really the garden. The garden is the perfect balance between the masculine and the feminine. And it turns out the perfect balance is the masculine in us being worshipful and receptive to the feminine, to the small voice, to the gentleness that sometimes might want to be a mighty wind, but to listen, to move with her, to dance with her. And this is her deal. She's like, it's a dynamic time. It's not, I want you to float along with me, like feel held, but it's a dynamic time of ups and downs and bouncing in and out of these new and old realities. And she says, it's not going to be without adversity and without blooms of these old stories, but can you dance with me? Can you just stop and feel the working of that? What she's showing us is that this juicy energy of the divine feminine bliss is the self-correcting force of the universe that holds all in place. And it's so powerful, and it's growing, and it's unleashing. And we are her. We've always worked with this energy. This is what it means to be a devotee of the goddess. And whoa, did they want to erase that shit from the planet? What are we going to find under the Vatican? Supposedly it was all burned in Alexandria, but there is truths to be found and validate these esoteric, powerful truths that they cut out of the Bible. It should be there. The divine feminine mysteries, and demonized, right? All called evil at the same time that the fires, the sacred goddess fires, were put out. And the Catholic Church took over that energy, or tried to. Well, we get the last laugh, huh? So, now let's talk about this, because the Sun Venus is so beautiful. It's like, oh, an invitation to express what's within you that you didn't even know you had, that could be received in the world, and sing the song and share the love and be in the vibration of this new exciting energy. And then all of these planets, because Mercury will be moving into Gemini on the 4th. So Venus moved over on the 24th. Jupiter moved over yesterday on the 26th. And then Mercury on the 4th of June. And so this is now they're each going to take their turn coming into the square with. It's beautiful because we didn't talk about how, as they all move into Gemini, that they are trining up with Pluto in Aquarius. And that's sweet because it does say, oh, yeah, the Aquarian age, it's an air sign. The Aquarian age, it's lighter and beautiful. And we get to build the dream, and that looks like this, a new renaissance that's about speaking the voice of the divine feminine and bringing her arts back on all levels. So it's powerful energy, this shift into Gemini. You'll be feeling this like, whoa, it's a lift. And it's interesting because going back, wait, hold on, I'll get to the Saturn thing, but going back to this period of time, the opposition of Black Moon Lilith and Virgo with Neptune and Pisces is because of the sextile, the Neptune there at the top of the kite. So this is the axis of the kite. Neptune at the top of the kite is in sextile to Jupiter in the beginning of Gemini and Pluto. So Jupiter's trine Pluto is very beautiful. That's beginning on the 4th of June, as Jupiter will make it to one, or no, Jupiter's already at 1 degree. So they're trine now, and that will go to the 4th exact. So very, very special time. And that's the deal with this opposition of Neptune and Black Moon Lilith making a kite with these sextiles. The body of the kite is a trine. That is, the trines happen in one element. In this case, the trine, well, it's an earth trine, but an air trine, because we've got Pluto and Jupiter moved over into air signs, Black Moon Lilith still in the mutable or the earth sign. So it's speaking, so the kite is about putting the pieces together, which we've been talking about, and taking flight. And it confirms the message we got. It's like, time to level up. Level up, she says. We're turning the light on. We're raising the frequency. And this is, so this kite really clarifies everything because it's about putting the pieces together and lifting up and taking it to a new level. And how do we do that? What's that about? So the kite, the point of the kite, the top of the kite, the direction we're going is Neptune and Pisces at 29 degrees, where we are rehashing and rebuilding and reworking the whole stories, all the stories, right? So it's like the new dream. The kite is lifting off into the new dream, into a whole new vibrational resonance. The base of the kite, which kind of gives it a anchor or guidance, is the Black Moon Lilith in Virgo. And Black Moon Lilith at the end degrees of Virgo here is saying Virgo is the healer part of ourselves. It's a very important energy, Virgo, for supernova souls, because it's where we have shut down the healer part of ourselves or hidden our gifts because of being persecuted for being a healer in the past. And so Black Moon Lilith, deepest, darkest secrets, it's where we've been persecuted as a healer. Opposite Neptune, dreaming a new dream. And so this says that back to Chiron, Mars Chiron, now we know the stories that we got to drop, where we were persecuted for being the light, the healing, the force, the love. So that kite is so important, and it's going to be here with the 26-degree opposition till this 3rd, and then June 3rd, then Black Moon Lilith moons to 27 degrees, and that will make the kite a little bit kind of more intensified, that opposition coming more into form. And so that second part of the kite will be through the first week of June. So at the same time as we have Sun Venus for an extended conjunction. and lifting up out of the persecution of being, a healer in the Piscean age, dreaming a new dream. So it's so important that we're examining these griefs, these energies that are coming up, because we're putting ourselves back together and we're taking it to a new level. So keep that in mind with all of this dynamic time. It's so intense. It's like a bubbling pot, and just you never know when that next, so we just have to ride the waves, she says. Stop and breathe. And then, so this kite lifting up into new levels, and Sun Venus, this activation of our true divine feminine identity, not the wounds, the healer, the love, the power of the heart. So, but then all these planets come into square with Saturn. And the square with Saturn, like we said, it's wrestling back our timeline, saying it's the mother's timeline now. The mother's in charge of all the resources. You don't get to control people through scarcity and lack anymore. It's an abundant world. Give it back. This is where we stand and we take our power. But also that message of like the grief. Because it's like when you see through the solutions, what? It might be getting better. Oh, there could be support coming. Like that's when you say, oh my God, it's been so hard and I love it. And this is that grief that wants to come forward. So let's talk through the timing of this, because the first one is Venus that will be squaring up with Saturn. And that's on the 9th of June. So literally, the Sun and Venus come out from their exact conjunction on the 5th of June. Then the next day is that Gemini new moon. The Gemini new moon is at 16 degrees. So Venus is right there with the sun and the moon for this new moon in Gemini. Again, saying, what is a song that we need to sing? It's the mother's song, the song of the goddess, of the juicy creation energy coming back into our lives. And we live and breathe and celebrate. And that's how we build our new world and heal our world and move into the new. So Venus square Saturn, but it could be intense kind of, because it's like we have to claim a new relationship with Saturn, and that's what these squares are about. So Venus square Saturn on the 9th, right after that new moon, just a couple of days. So the new moon in Gemini says, time to sing the song of the, just like, let's go. But then these squares, and it's a little bit like, oh no, remember, you can't do that. And we're like, no, we couldn't do that in your world, but it was never your world. And the mother claims it back. And she says, yes, please bring forward your gifts. Finally. And what a beautiful world it will be. So then the sun squares up with Saturn on the 10th of June, and Mercury squares up with Saturn on the 12th, 13th of June. So it's just like bam, bam, bam. And within that, we've got the sun and Mercury come together on the 15th, and the sun and like we had, first the sun and Venus, then the squares, then the sun and Mercury. Then Mercury finally catches up to the sun. And so Sun, Mercury, Venus. Oh, is it? First Mercury catches up to the sun, then because Venus will have passed the sun. And so then um then Mercury will catch up to the sun on the, so Mercury catches up to the sun on the 15th, then Mercury catches up to Venus on the 17th. Very, very powerful, because now we're getting all of the pieces. Maybe we've been putting ourselves together, our China doll, picking her up, she's a little fragile from the fall, right? But we're picking her up and we're putting together, but there's been missing pieces of the deep, deep subconscious stuff we haven't been able to get to. And that's this Black Moon Lilith. Like, hey, the Black Moon Lilith Kite says, how about you use that woundedness and pain to propel you in the hot air balloon, right? Really take advantage of all the wealth that you have. We turn this ship around, and everything that's been done to us is now fuel for the fire of the sacred fire of the claiming back our world. And maybe that's it. Mars coming up to Chiron is like relighting the goddess fires because he's fully on her team now. He's fully gets the vision. He was lost. He didn't know what he was here for. And then he fell back in love. And now he knows how to build and where to build from and what the energy is that really matters, and all of the love she has for him that maybe he felt that he didn't deserve because the masculine turned away. Both the masculine and the feminine, as we come into this journey into the heart and we move into the next couple of months of this work, we are recognizing that the heart is about healing our masculine and feminine within. We're also working out these archetypes in the world, and to really important to understand, the mother wants to remind us that both the masculine and the feminine feel betrayed and abandoned by the other. That's the wound of separation. And so it's like, it makes me think of this story of like targeted people who have been targeted, and what forces will do is create a situation, a drama, a lie that says, oh, look, that person betrayed you, because they can't have you have trust in anyone, because then you won't open up to their manipulations. So we've been told through lifetimes that we've been betrayed by the other. And what if each of us is just trying to get back to the heart, you know? Like the masculine and the feminine both diligently committed and trying the best they can to get back to the heart so they can meet each other again in that sacred union within. So there's a lot of forgiveness, a lot of soothing, self-soothing, a lot of understanding that when you turn away like that wounded animal that doesn't feel the love, it's not that easy. It might be, the wounds and the trauma, the abuse is painful, but sometimes the pain, you don't feel the pain of that till you come back to the love. So that's what it's all about. Everything we're going through, bring it into your heart. Let it, just I'm bringing it into my heart. I'm going to let this experience I'm going through open my heart, because that's what we're here for. And so that's the message here. So very powerful first couple of weeks of June. The first week, Sun, Venus, Gemini, new moon, brand new exciting start. And then the leftover garbage of Saturn's distortions coming to the foreground. Where are you still loyal to the lower matrix? Where are you still leaking out your energy? Where have you not been able to make that shift to go from zero support to this whole world, everything supporting you? And that's a mutable energy that's so powerful in these squares, because mutables like adjust. You gotta adjust. You gotta change. And this is our change. This is our new relationship to Saturn, a rebirth. And we come into co-creation of her dream. And so really, really beautiful energies. And I feel like the Saturn energy is kind of reminding us that if everything's working against us, then that energy is blocking us coming together, right? Because we're way more powerful when we're together. And so the rearranging with Saturn is also opening up to support, love, not feeling so alone on this journey. Thank you so much, though, for making it through all you've made it through. And we had to go alone to the wilderness so we can come back together and work on these projects. The seeds have been planted throughout this whole evolution. And those that we planted the seeds with, we must come back together with them. It's the only way we can grow. And so we're in this very interesting place that trauma, the money, the love, the support, the healing coming in this waterfall cascade of abundance that the mother wants to bring into our lives. It could feel traumatic because it's opening up and showing us where we still have these wounds that have not been completely healed. And the way we heal them is just to feel it. Cry your tears. Let yourself, as the mother, comfort you. As the daughter or child or son of her. And just be in that place of the power of that nurturing to bring us through this incredible portal that we're in. So I love you so much, Supernova Souls. Thank you so much for your support, for being with me, with us. A Supernova Soul Tribe, $10 a month gets you a weekly update, as well as live chats on the Telegram channel and lots of resources for Supernova Souls. $20 a month also gets you into the live activations for the new and full moon and sharing circles afterwards. These chats on the Telegram channel and the sharing circles, really great way to come and speak your truth, let your voice be heard, and exercise your power and your presence and your wealth as a supernova soul. We can't wait to hear from you. So thank you so much for being with us, and just being here, being present with these concepts is so much support. So thank you so much. There's also a link to donate if you'd like to make an offering that way. And please watch out for this Owning Your Energetic Field on June 8th, where we journey into the heart and get some downloads, pieces really coming together for us here, starting to understand who we really are and what that means for our daily life and this next chapter, this next phase. It's very exciting. So thank you so much, Supernova Souls, and just be present with what's happening. It's so powerful. This is a massive time of initiation, and we're feeling it. I know. So just hold tight, keep breathing, keep loving, keep moving that energy into the heart for that beautiful fire of transformation. What we're doing is burning away those old stories, the ego, the lower ego, that identity with the woundedness, with the victim, with the all that, and it's just burning all away as we step into the true light of who we are and say, yes, I'm going to stand with my lamp on. Now that I've cleared the trauma and healed the wounds and expressed the emotions, it's not so dangerous or scary or toxic in the world anymore, because I'm at peace with my slowly burning flame in my heart, So much here, supernovas. Just such a powerful time to be alive. And won't it be beautiful when we can come together and celebrate that? So thank you so much. I love you so much, Supernova Souls. I hope you have a wonderful week. I look forward to seeing you soon on the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.